Whatever.
Copyright test.
Copyright. Ooh, whoops. You don't know what we're recording with.
We'll just cut that out.
We're hiding it behind a pillow for a reason.
Yeah, we can edit that out.
Fix it in post.
Started, but, you know.
It's true. That's why we can edit that.
Is everything recording? I think we're good to go.
Okay.
Guys, we are slated.
Great. Well, welcome back to Jeff and Gash. I'm Josh. Again.
I'm not.
Thank you, Nathan. You're also not Jeff, but Jeff couldn't be here with us again today. So, Nathan, thanks for filling in.
You're welcome.
We got Austin again filling in on tech.
Indeed.
Appreciate it.
Not filling in. He lives here.
Pretty true.
On the couch. Nathan, Austin lives on the couch.
Yes. He can live on my couch. That's
Great.
fine. I'm okay with that.
Hey.
Perfect. And
great.
we got Madison again with us. Not as a guest, just joining us.
Yeah.
She's fun.
Yep.
Yep.
It's a good time.
You
part of the-
are on my couch.
Part of the Brady Bunch
so-
now.
I am not on your couch.
Well, you are on my chair.
It's true.
Yeah. So.
You know, actually, Madison and I had talked about the past. I feel like, Austin, you would have been the ideal roommate for me if I had ever had a roommate. You know? Because, like, thinking through all of my friends, because the only roommates I've ever had have been siblings and my cat. So, of all the people, though, I feel like you and I would have, it would have worked well, you know? Because I think we're both, you're not a slob. You don't, like, leave the kitchen exploded. Like, you're pretty conscientious about that. And we both love tech.
Exactly.
That's a huge deal. We would have the greatest time with tech.
It would be amazing.
So-
The question I have as we think about this is, Austin, what do you think about cats?
Yeah.
I love cats.
Really?
My man.
Okay.
We have 3 cats.
His
My-
cats are named after computer things.
Exactly. Pentium is my cat.
And
Pentium.
Ryzen?
And Ryzen, yes. Those are my 2 cats' names.
That's
Congra-
dedication to cats and technology.
Exactly.
It's great. See? We're a match made in heaven. Other than the fact that I'm married
Yeah.
to my actual match made in heaven. But don't worry about it. The roommate made in heaven. But it's true. No, I don't know. I feel like we do have a lot of common. We've actually taken classes together. We talked about this last time.
Yes.
The classes that I was paying for and you were not.
Yeah.
Which is rad because
great.
you now know more about networks than I do, even though we were in the same class. True. I feel like that's because you wanted to be there and I had to be there.
Yeah, I think, yeah.
But it's funny because I am technically the one with the degree, but you were the one I asked for help on pretty much everything. So who's the real winner? I don't know.
Again, going back to that qualified degree thing and
I know.
realizing that these two are more qualified than
I don't know. I feel
These
completely unqualified.
I don't know. This couch here is pretty valuable.
this is a,
The MVPs of this
MVPs
relationship.
are on the. That's why they're on the.
That's
sofa.
why we're hosting a podcast, and they're. This is what our life has become.
Yeah, it's true.
But yeah, Austin, you don't talk ever, so I wanted to talk to you today and make you talk.
Okay.
So how are you doing today,
I
buddy?
am doing well.
You are very busy.
That is very true.
So what's your secret
I don't know that
to like managing this?
being very careful with time spent and probably working more than I should.
Okay, so what goes into your time management process? Because you have 3 jobs at the moment.
6.
You have 6 jobs at the moment.
Yes.
Oh wow.
Yeah. Mhm.
Do
Okay.
you sleep?
Yes.
Okay.
I really do enjoy that too. Maybe that's my 7th job because I put a
7th
lot of
job.
time into that
Put
one.
a lot of effort.
Yeah.
into
So yeah, but
Do you have any pro tips on time management though?
not really. Mostly just scheduling things out pretty hardcore and kind of making sure I know when I'm going where
Okay.
and
'Cause
not
that-
letting too much overlap other jobs.
Right. That's the thing I think I'm most impressed about you is that you are always busy, but you're never late. You know, because I feel like a lot of people who I wouldn't say, I guess for you, I wouldn't say you're overcommitted because you're able to manage it. But some people I know who are just like constantly busy are never on time for stuff.
Sure.
And it's like, you got to appreciate that they get stuff done and whatever, but it's like, it's nice when people are on time. So that's what I'm impressed about you is that you apparently have 6 jobs and you're not late.
It's true. He's
So-
even helping us with a podcast.
Yeah, for real. Like, we asked him, I was like, hey, Austin, you want to help me with something? And he was like, yes. And I didn't even have to tell you what it was. So, word. I appreciate that.
Yeah.
So how long have you been into tech? Is this just like a lifelong thing you've always been?
Really has been, yeah.
What did it start with?
I think it was tearing apart old electronics when I was really young. I remember taking apart our old mini cassette answering machine back in the day
Oh, man.
when it stopped working. And
Okay.
yeah, that's kind of where it started. I always thought I would be either a plumber or electrician.
Okay.
But then kind of computers took over that. And
Sure.
I remember my parents got me a Introduction to Windows XP book when I was, I don't know, 10.
Okay.
Something like that. And
Nice.
I read that thing front to back more times than...
I actually kind of remember that now.
Right.
I remember you giving me pro tips. Here's the other thing. Austin is... Okay, I am technically more qualified to make movies because I went to film school for a semester. But when we edit, Josh did too. Josh and I both went to film school for one semester
And we dropped out. It was
at the
awesome.
same time at the same school, and we didn't know each other.
It was a good time.
So fun story.
did not
But
know
Good
that.
memories.
But it's funny because I will be sitting there. Austin and I will edit together sometimes. We're working on a project or something or whatever, and he'll be sitting next to me while we're editing, and I will be doing stuff, and Austin will just like shout out a shortcut key that like makes my life 10 times easier because he knows every single shortcut key for like Premiere and After Effects. So it's pretty incredible. But what I was going to ask you though, you said you took apart like a VCR or a answering machine.
Yeah.
Have you ever taken anything apart that your parents needed and you couldn't put it back together?
It's a really good question. I don't think so.
Really?
Yeah, I don't
Because
think
he's
I
just
ever
that
pulled...
good.
It's just that he put it back together.
Did you ever take something apart that you then did put back together that is like something they didn't want to lose?
That's a really good question. I can't remember.
Okay.
I don't think so, mostly because I didn't know what I was doing back then, so
Okay.
the chance of me actually putting anything back together and it working again were pretty small.
Okay.
You usually had to lose something in the process.
Gotcha. But you took apart a lot of like broken stuff.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
Interesting.
Yeah, old gear. And then started helping at Grace when I was 12, I want to say.
At 12.
Wow.
Yeah.
Man. I guess
Okay.
if you read Introduction to Windows XP when you're 10, it's no
Actually,
wonder you're
yeah.
helping do actually tech stuff 2 years later.
Yeah. Actually, I think I was 10 because we had just finished the church expansion, the last piece, and
Okay.
in 04, 05, and
Nice.
yeah, started helping then and continued ever since. So
Nice.
It's big
yeah,
time.
that's what got me.
And now
really
one of your
interested in
jobs is there at that church.
It is exactly so.
One of 6. Actually, 2 of 6 are technically in that building.
Correct. Yes.
So what are all your jobs?
I am technical assistant at church. I am IT and web development director at NBC. I am the IT guy over at Heritage. I work for a couple other smaller businesses in Belgrade. Smaller amount of time there, just doing IT work and web work. And then I own with Colin a internet service provider business. So
That's big time.
It's big time.
Wow.
we started about 4 years ago, I think.
Okay.
4.5 years ago now, and we
Nice.
got 30 some customers and
Wow.
keep going from there.
Bruh.
You guys are crushing it.
Good for you.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
We found the most qualified person in this group.
I think
It's
we
true.
did.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that discussion is closed.
I think this really goes to illustrate what I've been saying is that little piece of paper they give you after 4 years doesn't necessarily
matter a lot.
mean anything.
It's true.
Because, college is oftentimes really theoretical because they're trying to prep you for potentially going to grad school to study computer science theory. I had to take a lot of classes on that. Whereas, it's like I knew I wasn't going to do that. So it's like I still had to take them. But, there's no substitute for experience, and I think that's really valuable because honestly, you're probably a lot more employable in a lot of ways than me because you've had a lot of experience, like a lot of problems that could arise with systems you've seen and you've dealt with
Yeah.
versus I have like heard about them or maybe read about some stuff in a textbook, but I've never had to touch it. So
Yeah,
I don't know. I think it's
true.
Experience is a great thing. So
Yeah,
It
that's
is.
true.
For sure.
And I do a lot of things, but I'm not like amazing at any one. And that's where the degrees are sometimes like that, where I'll shoot a file off.
I'm not amazing at one thing either.
Well, I'll sometimes shoot a file off to you or Colin and be like, "Hey, I broke this. Can you fix it?" And it comes back and I'm like, "Look at that! It does exactly what I was hoping it would do, but had no clue how to do it." So it's those kind of specific areas
Sure.
that it's like, okay, I
Like a
don't
niche
know
thing.
how to touch it.
True.
On the other hand, I would say that you learn a broader spectrum of applicable knowledge as compared to us. Like for me, I could theoretically implant electrodes to get readings into monkey brains.
Theoretically.
Theoretically. I would have no reason to do that. So that
And you've
entire...
never done it, so you don't
Yeah.
know how technically.
Yeah, so...
But maybe in Singapore, you'll find a monkey.
Okay.
I'm going to keep Madison away from the monkeys.
Simple suggestion is all.
All right. Anyway. my point being, you probably have learned a lot more knowledge that you can hold on to and apply as compared to us.
Sure.
Who have a lot more theoretical knowledge that we can probably not or never will apply.
Sure.
Right. Especially if you look at the percentage of people who like don't go into their major post college. Jaysh.
Jaysh over here. got a
Jaysh
history
here is a
degree,
statistic.
perfectly fitting the mold.
He works at a mattress company,
I do.
but that's fine because I did too, and it's fantastic.
Yep.
Shout out to Mattress Mill.
But even sponsor us, Lane.
Everything we say is either sponsor us or copyright.
Well, we're trying to protect our butts, but also finance.
But Mattress Mill is the place to be.
It is a good place.
It's wonderful.
I'm thankful for it. Going back to Austin, though.
Yes. Sorry.
Before we start talking about where I work, Austin, you do so much tech stuff. Do you ever? What do you enjoy to do when you just want to take a break? Do you ever want to take a break
That's
from
a
tech
great
stuff?
question.
And if so, what do you do?
I do like to take a break from work, but in
it's
that
more tech
break,
stuff.
I do more tech stuff.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So it's truly your passion then.
It really is.
Yeah.
Yes.
So you do. It's fulfilling.
It really is. Yes.
Good. That's
It's-
good.
It's what I would do in my free time, if I had free time.
Okay.
I would do what I'm doing.
Okay.
Okay.
So that's why it works out so well.
Nice.
Very convenient.
That is. That I think perfectly fits that mold of that saying where if you do what you love, you don't feel like you work a day of your life.
I'm sure Austin feels like he works a day of his life though.
Yeah, it's true. He's running around with like a chicken with his head cut off.
That's
sometimes, I
not
think.
always true, but you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I feel like, yeah.
It's true, but at least you're having fun with what you're doing.
Exactly.
You know, that's a really cool thing to be
Yep.
able to say.
Yeah. Okay, so Austin, then, as an aficionado of technology, if we treat you like a little bit of a sage here and ask you for some wisdom on the future, what future tech are A, you most excited about, and B, you think is the most, like, going to change the way we live the most upcoming? They don't have to be the same thing, I guess.
It's a good question. I am looking forward to the potential for holographic displays.
Ooh.
I think
Like
that
Tupac at that show.
Yes. Well, except for you mean like head-mounted displays?
well, either
Or-
that or like there's a phone coming out sometime soon that's supposed
The
to have-
hydrogen phone from
Yes,
Red?
Wait,
yes.
what?
What?
There's
Explain.
the Red, the camera manufacturer, you've probably heard of them. They film like
Copyright.
the copyright. Don't sue us. They're way bigger than us.
It's just a color though.
Everything
I
is
mean,
bigger than
hey,
us. Hey, sponsor us. Just kidding. Black Magic sponsor me. That Red.
Yeah.
Anyways,
It's interesting they're both colors.
that's true.
Black,
But
red.
Black Magic is way cooler than just red.
Yeah. We could come up with our own.
Yes. And then copyright it. But so there's a cinema camera company called Red. They make really high-end cameras. But they're making a cell phone that supposedly has a 3D holographic display.
So like your little person you're talking to pops up. So then
like
it's
the help
almost
me
like,
Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Yeah, I'm imagining that scene in Star Wars Episode 3 where the clone get that. They have the little handheld device,
Yep.
and Emperor Palpatine
exit
shows up and he says,
66.
"Execute Order 66." That's what. Hashtag. We're both nerds, apparently.
Hashtag copyright.
Yeah, copyright don't sue us, Disney.
But yeah, that's theoretically supposed to
Yeah.
be. And there's an
Wow.
embargo on it right now. So
How does the other person show up on the holograph?
I don't know.
I don't know how their implementation is going to be on that. If it's going to be used for that kind of thing, or if it's more going to be used for display and just multiple layers of display,
Right.
To
Wow.
enlarge your display.
Yes.
size.
Can
from
I
the
ask
field.
a question? It might be a really dumb question, but
There's
I
no
thought
dumb questions.
holograms only worked if you had like a smoke material to project on. How are they like getting around that?
We don't know.
Yeah.
That's the weird thing about it, because there's been a lot of people there's an embargo on it, so they can't actually show it, but you can look at it and then talk about it. And there are some like tech reviewers on YouTube that I really trust, and they have looked at it and said, this is special. And so I'm not sure what exactly it's going to be, because I think the Nintendo 3DS did something with glasses-less 3D technology at some point, but you had to be looking at it at an incredibly specific angle. And then it had to do with the fact that the screen polarization was different on both sides. So you were just right in the sweet spot where each eye saw a different image. But this is supposed to be completely different. So I'm also guessing it's going to be really expensive. But I'd be really curious to see what it is. It's called the hydrogen, right?
Yeah.
From Red. Yeah. So that's what you're most excited about. What do you
Yeah.
think is going to change the way we live the most?
Boy, I'm not sure.
Okay.
I think if, and I have no clue if this is a potential, but if teleporters or transporters could become a thing, that would change things a lot.
Would you trust your body to a Star Trek type of transporter that literally takes you apart and just reassembles atoms on the other planet into you?
I think it depends on which Star Trek we're talking. Towards the later Star Treks, yes, because it's been tested. So I guess if the technology has been tested thoroughly, yes, I think I would.
Because there's a lot of transporter shenanigans and tomfoolery in the original series.
Yes.
A lot of people get stuck for like hundreds of years or whatever.
Yeah, minor things or just disappear.
Or get merged with another object.
Yes, exactly, like a plant.
I anticipate that as tech develops, I'm going to become a curmudgeon.
You think so?
I think so. Yeah, if teleporters ever became a thing, I would be a total curmudgeon about stuff and be like, just get in your car and drive, because I can control the wheel instead of being taken apart and put back together somewhere else.
Okay, so here's the thing, though.
Yeah.
I could see that being really useful not only for people but for objects.
Objects would be
So
cool.
many times
Yes.
I'm on a stage and say, "Man, I forgot my XYZ in the booth.
Yep.
My screwdriver, my phone. Boom! If I could transport that
true.
to the stage,
True.
to the other end of the building, that
I just
would
imagine
save.
the convenience of when you forget your underwear on a road trip. And
There you go.
You can just go to the store, my dude.
It's true. It's true.
What is special about your underwear? Do you have like prescription underwear or something?
No, you know how your mom always just asks you if you have clean underwear before a trip? If you
That
don't,
hasn't happened in years, for sure.
all right. Well,
Happy Mother's Day, Josh's mom. Be sure to call him and ask him if he has clean underwear.
please don't watch this, Mom.
I'm going to personally send it to her
You don't know her.
with a typeset. The best kept secret. Who is
Anyway.
Josh's mom?
Yeah.
Okay, so
Tech.
so like self-driving cars come around, Josh hates them.
Yeah, I don't know if I'm going to trust a self-driving car.
Get out of here.
I'm just like, there's something about my self-driving that makes me feel more comfortable.
Yes.
Even though I know there's the risk of human error. I understand all of the arguments for self-driving cars and less human error, but I'm still like, I know myself more than a computer.
Sure.
So
Austin, what's your hot take? Self-driving cars.
Yes.
Hit me with it. Yes?
Very much so.
You're about it.
I think.
That's a flaming hot take right there.
Yeah, very much so. Yes. If we can get a large enough population to have them, I think
Yes.
traffic will become not a problem
Right.
because everyone's speeds and the lights can all be synchronized to know where your destination is, what time you have to be at that destination, etc. So you could say, "Oh, I'm leaving early this morning. I don't need to be there until then." Well, it could route priority traffic slightly faster, get
Sure.
them through lights and time lights based on destination, which direction you're turning, and you're no longer getting caught by like, "Oh, I was the last car of that group and I got caught by that light and there's like no one behind me if I could
Sure.
just get through," you know.
Can I share a concern though? And I didn't realize that this was a concern with self-driving cars until we visited New York. And when we were on our way out of New York, we had to cross a bridge. And there were how many lanes that merged at random?
Yeah,
into
so it was like it was one of those things where it splits you out into like 32 lanes and then comes back together kind of. It was maybe more like
It was maybe
20 lanes.
I think that's still too many. I think it was maybe even like 15.
Okay.
That's
But
still-
it goes from 4 to like 15 and then back to 4.
Okay.
And it's chaos. It's absolute chaos.
But that's all human drivers.
They are, but the road is not set up,
Yes.
for self-driving cars, I would argue. Like that setup is specifically designed for like people to be able to let each other in a very like analytical way. Because not only are you looking at the car that wants to come into the right and the left, but also what's happening in the lanes far to the right and far to the left, and just the general flow of traffic. I would argue that you would need a lot of construction in the bigger cities to be able to incorporate these cars.
I would counter that by saying you wouldn't need to split into 15 lanes and back to 4 if you had self-driving cars that had like easy passes on them that just paid as you went through. Because we went through 3, you didn't know it and I didn't either except for the signage. We went through 3 toll booths on the way to New York without stopping. There's just an RFID chip in the windshield of the car that you just went through and then they sent me a bill later. So I think if your cars did that, if we could install those RFID readers on those bridges,
Yep.
piece of cake. In addition to that, I think the traffic was also bad because people didn't cooperate with each other. They were forcing their way into lanes. And so some lanes, there were just really aggressive drivers all the time pushing in. And me being from Montana wasn't used to it. So I was just waiting as people were shoving their way in and not realizing, A, it's a rental, so who cares? I paid for insurance on it. So just go. And B, like, just go and they will let you. Like, no one's going to actually hit you. So I think that if the cars were able to communicate with each other and they weren't angry, you know, they could just have zippered back together like...
Exactly.
Easily.
I think so. That's my take on it. But I mean, I totally, Josh, understand the lack of comfort. Because, like, there's this dingus who took his Tesla and he got into the passenger seat on the freeway. Did you hear about this?
No.
Yeah.
Was it a self-driving Tesla or something?
Yeah, so Teslas have this, it's not quite self-driving, but it's like a lane assist plus cruise control that you can enable so that it keeps your car in the lane and then it keeps it at a certain speed and it keeps it from hitting the car in front of it. So he turned all that on, and they have all the sensors and everything they need to be self-driving. It's just not enabled because it's not super legal yet.
Right.
So anyways, he turns all that on and then he moved over to the passenger seat and he must have put like a box or something on that because there's weight sensors that disable your car if you're not sitting there.
Yeah.
But anyways, he got jailed for it, I believe, because they're trying to set precedent, I think. But it just, that's really disappointing because it's like the tech's not there yet. So he's abusing it. But I've told Madison this, my dream is a self-driving RV.
Oh, that
where
would be
I get in
amazing.
it and I say, take me to Yosemite, and then I go sleep. And then it like pulls into a gas station and honks or something.
That would be amazing.
So
Yeah, but I personally am honestly with Josh.
on
Like,
now.
I think it would feel really uncomfortable to
Yes.
have something that I
Yeah.
don't understand driving me at 80 miles an hour
Right.
Sure.
to somewhere that I'm trusting it to know, trusting it to know where
I
it's
recognize
going.
that that's just the new technology. We're not
heebie-jeebies.
used to it.
Yeah.
Kind of heebie-jeebies.
Yeah.
Because, like, if you think about it, that's what older people say about, like, newer tech that's coming out now. Like,
Or even like Uber.
right.
There's a lot of
yeah.
older people who don't trust it.
Yeah. Or
That's
even,
true.
like, social media.
Yeah.
If you're like, they are tracking everything. Yeah.
You know.
Probably are.
Yeah.
But,
Yeah, it's funny because someone told me once that like, you know, it was like when we were kids, we told people don't meet strangers on the internet and don't get into a stranger's car. Now we're literally summoning strangers with the internet to get into their car.
it's true.
But it's a great service. I mean, we
Yeah.
love it because you're getting a local driver who knows the area and you don't have to worry about driving. It's relatively affordable. It's cheaper than taxis most of the time. So
yeah.
I don't know. It's true though. I mean, it's weird kind of being on the cusp of a big technology like this and being able to, like, you always look at older people who are like, oh, why are you like this? But now we're like this. And even
Yeah.
personally, like as a huge advocate of self-driving cars, I understand the risks involved. And you know, if just one car goes AWOL, it could cause a lot of problems.
Yeah.
So yeah, I don't know. It's tough, but I think that I guess I'd say this. I'm a huge proponent of the idea of it, and we need to see what the execution of that idea is going to be.
Very true.
But
point.
yeah, I don't know. And I don't know if I necessarily trust Tesla to do that either, because I don't necessarily trust Elon Musk personally. After hearing about like the working conditions at SpaceX and Tesla and how many accidents they had covered up in order to get a better health and safety rating at Tesla, and just, he seems kind of short-sighted sometimes. So what I really want from Tesla is them to push other companies to start innovating too. And then like, I think Mercedes has some self-driving cars. Google's been doing this, obviously.
Yeah.
They are probably number one, I'd
think
say.
so, yeah.
And they've had a fleet of hundreds of them in San Francisco. And the only wrecks they've been in have been because they've either been T-boned or rear-ended. And the one that got into a wreck and it was the car's fault was because a dude was driving it and he wrecked it. But other than that, they've never been at fault and they've never hit a pedestrian.
Exactly.
So, I mean, that's a good track record for now, but it's also a reasonably small sample size. So
It is.
who knows?
Also, I wonder what, I think from what you've told me, most of it has been in California.
Yes.
Right? I wonder,
Texas, I
And
think.
Texas. I wonder how they would deal with like Montana weather.
Yeah.
Because even inexperienced drivers have like people who don't drive in Montana a lot have trouble telling the conditions versus like people like you and I who have been driving here for a long time know, okay, well, I know that ice in particular, when it looks like that, is extra dangerous versus like a car. I think it would be harder for it to kind of analyze those types of
Potentially.
things. But also it could potentially in the future be better, right?
Well, the interesting thing about that, I would say, is that your car already has some artificial intelligence of some kind that when you mash the brakes and it's icy, it pushes back and it says, don't do that, because you're not supposed to mash the brakes when you're sliding. You want to, but you're not supposed to. And so your car is already forcing you to stop. So I think if your car your car could probably self-correct better on its own without you if if it was self-driving, because A, its reaction time is going to be like so fast, and B, it's going to know hopefully what to do. But I do agree. And the other thing too is like a lot of the roads here aren't as nice as those roads in terms of like where the lines. I don't know what it's looking for, if it's looking for lines or just somehow figuring it out another
Measuring
way.
the road width.
We got a lot of
Based,
gravel roads here, you know, so it's like, how is it going to handle that? Is it going to handle gravel road okay? Or even a dirt road? Is it just going to be like dirt field, same thing, and just like cut through a cornfield? I don't know. But I guess there's still a lot to learn for sure. And then also the fact that just electric cars are hard to deal with here just because of battery life gets way depleted when things are cold. And so Teslas actually have to keep their batteries heated at all times in order to prevent them from going below a certain temperature threshold. So even if you're just parked in your Tesla in Montana, it will just have a heater running all the time to keep that battery warm. So your range is really limited. So there's a lot of pros and cons for sure. But I think we could get there someday. But I don't know if it's going to be soon or not. I hope so, but I don't know.
I also see for like long commutes in big cities, the ability to get work done during the commute, make calls, whatever.
Have a hotspot in the car.
Exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's just a lot of potential for that.
And
I
could foresee a future where people don't really own cars. There's just streets filled with self-driving cars you can summon via like an Uber type situation, because it's like you don't have to tip a robot. To put it bluntly, my Uber cost me $10 instead of $15 because I don't have to tip the driver. I don't know. I that might be part of it too, is like, because I think those cars might be really expensive. And a lot of millennials don't even own cars. That's becoming a bigger and bigger thing in San Francisco, New York. The statistics are all, how have we become like CNN now? And we're not even talking about anything entertaining at all. I'm sorry. I'm going to get off my soapbox here. We can talk about this some other time, but self-driving cars.
At least we know each other's take on self-driving cars now. So that's helpful for our viewers, I'm sure.
And I totally respect where you guys come from too.
Yeah.
So
We're just old farts.
Time will tell.
I'm just honestly very excited to be a curmudgeon in a lot of ways.
Hey, the future is now.
That's true. I'm trying to embrace it as much as I can while also maintaining my exuberant youthfulness.
Yeah.
You know,
You just.
With that phrase, we know it's gone.
Oh boy.
that just demonstrates how weird I am, I think, is really all.
I see.
But
All right. Let's see. Any other? We're getting close to the end of our time here, I think. But any other questions for Austin? Since this is the Austincast.
it is the Austincast now.
If there was a mass destruction of technology, all computers were gone, all phones were gone. I know it would hurt, but what would be your next job?
Plumber.
Yep.
Really?
I don't know. Probably. Well, I don't know. I enjoy like working on like irrigation. That's another job I do actually as well. I do some irrigation work.
That's why he's shredded.
Yeah, no.
And he's tan. You're actually one of the tannest nerds I know. Let's be real.
Okay, cool.
That's-
that works.
I appreciate
good
that.
news.
He gets outside. Well, I guess you're installing satellites.
Yes.
But okay, so
Also-
you do irrigation and plumbing, maybe?
Yeah, and electrical, like just.
If
wiring.
we're talking EPG or EMP here,
Yeah.
so no
Okay,
electricity.
yeah,
We're
okay.
back to
At
the
that
Stone
point,
Age.
I don't know. Probably something. Yeah, outdoors.
Okay.
I kind of like that
Sure.
Good.
Cool.
for a change up. Yeah.
Nice.
One last question. If you were a vegetable, what would you be?
Josh, if you were a vegetable, I'd pull the plug.
Thank you, Nathan.
Just
Good to
kidding.
know.
Just kidding, Josh. I love you. That's why I said that.
Probably a cucumber.
Cucumber.
Why is that?
Probably because of Veggie Tales.
Larry boy.
Larry.
Yeah.
He's pretty cool.
Gotcha.
I was gonna say that's.
Yeah.
I could. We could be good roommates.
Yeah.
That's all I'm saying.
Great. Oh.
Why was that your last question? Can I just? Can we get back to that?
Sometimes it's just fun to catch people off guard with really weird questions. like
Okay.
that, you know.
Is that like a go-to of some kind of yours, or just?
Well, I remember when we were at a Bible study this summer, just as an icebreaker, one of the leaders had a question, just random questions. I think one time was like, if you were a scented candle.
Oh.
There was if you were a vegetable, which would you be? So there was just, and some of those just stuck in my head as just,
Okay.
I think this would really throw a guy for a loop if I asked him that. And it did. I saw that.
I don't know.
Austin laughed about it and was
Yes.
a little
He laughed, but he
taken
had an
aback.
answer.
It did. You did have an answer. You knew,
true.
which convictions. That's
I appreciate
good.
that.
Yeah.
Alrighty. Is that are we about
think we're
done
about
here?
wrapped up.
Wrap it
Great.
up.
Well, thank you guys again for joining us for Josh and Jeff.
Jason Jeff on the Austincast. That was good. I enjoyed it.
Indeed.
Getting to talk to you a little bit more.
Indeed.
Yeah.
So
It's fun.
yeah, thanks for
much.
joining us too, Madison.
Yeah.
Everybody
My
here.
pleasure.
I'm having a good time.
Hey,
Indeed.
thanks for filling in for Jeff.
Fun.
You're welcome. Yep. We'll see you soon, Jeff.
Great. I love how awkward our endings are.
I know.